One of the big focuses at the Social Learning Summit was education.
Professors from American and other esteemed universities appeared in many of the lectures.
I think there's a lot of utility to starting with what are all the features, what's the tool sets of all the different social media that exist, and how can individual faculty members and teachers apply these tools to their specific set of problems.
I think it's a synergy between the student and the classroom. I think it's really cool to get feedback from students when we're doing different things in the classroom and innovative things and trying to engage them in collaborative learning, that they tell us about how they're reacting to that.
If we can make students' heads hurt just a little bit and give them the social media as a way to talk about it and alleviate some of that aching, that's also a good objective. So if we start with that as our goal, how can those tools help us get there?
You know, if a faculty member thinks that the classroom is a place to control, then run, take another class.
Learning itself, whether it's social media, internet, or not, is still debated. How do you know you learn? What do you learn? Maybe you can't repeat something as a memory, but you've ingrained it within you and you know it. Isn't that learning? Even I have students that post stuff all the time. I say, "Where'd you get that?" They go, "I don't know. I don't remember." They might have done it 1 hour ago. And it's a little puzzling that they don't remember. but the fact is they found it, and then they posted it, and we shared and learned from it. So maybe that's okay.
AU professor Scott Talon advocated for social learning in the classroom, such as letting students tweet during class so they're more focused and engaged.
I was wondering if you could just elaborate on why using social media in the classroom isn't a distraction as many people would frame it as.
Well, it's funny you're saying that because I'm wondering why we're not having the background of the tweet wall behind us to show people what was in there. I think people can get distracted in different ways, including just daydreaming or just reading or doodling, that you don't need technology to have a distraction. It does make it easier a little bit, but if you have an engaged classroom and students are contributing, hopefully this will be plus net gains having this technology in the classroom.
Do you think American University is sort of at the forefront of social media learning, or do you think we still have a ways to go here?
Both. That we are in the forefront and a ways to go, because I think this can be for any content area, any curriculum, biology to English to history, can use social media. It just depends on the teacher, the course, the context, and what tool to use, but there should be more of it. And pretty soon there won't be real textbooks. It'll be e-textbooks. More and more of those adopted, and more teachers using social media in the classroom. And things like this where it gets out there, people hear about it, and professors then get fear inside of them that say, I don't want to fall behind. That's, I think, going to help.
I touched upon the issue of technology and learning on the show a few weeks back on the particular topic of educational software. In the United States, 1 out of every 4 students drop out of high school. Now, this is a significant problem for education in our country, and I would argue one contributor, however small, to this is that game developers do not invest as much in creating educational games as they used to. Yes, RPGs are fun, and I would be hypocritical if I claimed I never played any games that weren't educational, but I grew up on games like Clue Finders. They taught me basic skills about language, math, and science that made it easier for me to absorb information than if I had been lectured about these subjects in class every day. I asked Eddie Lee, a new media specialist for the Department of Education, why there isn't as much educational software as there used to be. Well, Lee was ready to serve me up a nice heaping pile of crow.
I don't necessarily agree with this notion that there is less software out there. I think there are actually more educational programs. I think that with this technology, you have the capacity to do more. And a lot of our funding in the Department of Education is going to bringing those programs and that software into the classroom. So I would say that, with this growth of technology, you're going to see new ways that we're educating our young people. And part of that's going to be through software. Part of that will be through e-technology and learning through videos. E-books is going to be a big part of that. And so the system of education that we grew up doing in our classroom is going to be completely different from our kids and our grandkids. And so I think we're very hopeful about the role of technology and what we're going to see in our classrooms in the future. And I think that we're going to be very much blown away by the impact that it has on these kids to really learn in a more effective manner.
I've noticed that my students have started tweeting during class, talking about things that they know. And so I have a kind of running metric a little bit about what students find particularly engaging about when I'm talking about class, which is actually helpful. And there's still a lot of sort of philosophical debates about people using social media in class and that kind of thing. But anyway, so
Professor Katie Borum-Chatou said that hashtagging classes may become the next big way for universities to market themselves to prospective students.
I think it's incredibly exciting for me personally to watch students who are energized by something that I may be saying in the classroom, and then I find after class, because I can't check my Twitter feed in class, but I find after class that they're tweeting about, oh, this case study that we talked about in class really made me think about my next project. And I think we can't stop that. I mean, the genie is way out of the bottle, and so since we can't stop it, and frankly, I don't want to stop it, I think that's amazing. I get this real-time feedback from students about what they're finding to be inspiring to them from an educational perspective. So one of the things that I think that we're going to start playing with is hashtagging our classes so that when students are having these conversations, let's not just be sort of haphazard about it, but let's go ahead and hashtag those so we can track the whole conversation about COM 536, for example, and actually see what students are writing about. And as I mentioned on the panel, I think it becomes a really important marketing mechanism for students who may be considering AU. And look at all these students tweeting about their classes. How amazing. What a great endorsement from students themselves. So I think it's exciting.
Do you think that there's been a net positive or negative when it comes to social media's effect on education and how quickly students are learning?
Well, I think it's clear that there's a massive net positive. I think that what also has to be understood is that there are contexts in which it's appropriate for me to just, and I don't smoke, but to just whip out a cigarette and smoke, and then there are contexts in which that's inappropriate. Right. There are contexts in which it's okay for me to talk on the phone, but if you're in a movie theater, not appropriate during the middle of a movie. So I think that what's key is actually teachers establishing ground rules around expected behaviors, and that there are times maybe where we need to be paying attention directly, and there are times where we can be multitasking.
President Obama in the State of the Union says that we have to out-educate and out-innovate the rest of the world. And one of the main ways that we do that is through technology and through education. And this administration is very committed to bringing technology into the classroom, to utilizing the gifts, even YouTube, even Twitter, to making sure that our education system is very much up to date with the technology that's out there.
That the key value of social software is that it makes your network of connections accessible to you, so that if you're stuck, you can find something out and find a solution quicker, oftentimes, than you can by searching for it or by finding any other method.
The Twitter audience has continued to grow among your age group. It's actually sort of, I think older people kind of picked up on it first. And so now younger people are really picking up on it and have sort of taken over, which is great.
So the ability to access a collective wisdom of everyone we know and a broader network, let's say via Twitter, is an invaluable addition to the learning experience. Because learning how to leverage those tools in those ways means that you will have more speed to market with products, you will be more productive because you'll spend less time farting around looking at page 12 in Google of the results, and ultimately being able to get more done with the limited time we have. And let there be no doubt, the most invaluable resource we have is our time.
When we return, we'll look at the role of social media in a societal context.
You're watching Tech Talk. Stay tuned.